It looks, cooks, and satisfies like beef. That is one of the catchphrases for the very popular, very meaty-looking vegetarian patty known as the Beyond Burger. But you know who isn't so satisfied? The Quebec Cattle Producers Federation. They've got some major beef with some of the words the Beyond Meat Company is using to describe its products. And now they have taken their complaint all the way to the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. Kirk Jackson is the vice president of the Quebec Cattle Producers Federation. We reached him in St. Anisette, Quebec.
Mr. Jackson, what is the phrase that you want Beyond Meat to stop using?
We want them to stop using the term that they're using, plant-based meat. By definition, meat comes from a part of an animal carcass.
And what should they call it instead?
Well, they can call it whatever they want to call it, but by definition, meat, under our rules and regulations for Canadian Food Inspection Agency, the definition of meat is it's a product derived from the carcass of an animal.
And do you have problems with them calling them, Beyond Meat is the overall label, but they call, for instance, their burgers Beyond Burgers. Should they stop calling them burgers as well?
As far as I know, we don't have any rules or regulations of what the definition of a burger is, but for meat we definitely do, and we're trying to protect the integrity of the product that we produce.
But don't you think that people know that they're not eating meat when they're buying something like Beyond Meat, plant-based burger?
There's probably quite a few that do. There could be some that don't. But again, it's the rules are there, they're clear, and we just want to be on a same level playing field.
Who do you think should stop this? How do you end this labeling then?
Well, this is all regulated by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. They regulate us, and they regulate all the food that's produced. They regulate the food that we feed our animals. They regulate everything that's exported and imported into this country. And this is their definition, their terminology. These are their rules. So it's up to them to take action.
And this is the second time your organization, the Quebec Cattle Producers Federation, has lodged a complaint with the Canadian Food Inspection Agency regarding Beyond Meat. Is that right?
We did launch a complaint a few months back with a food chain when they were using the term in French, Viande Végétale.
Right. This is the A&W. In French, the Beyond Burger was the Viande Végétale, which is now. And what came of that?
There was seemed to be a gentleman's agreement at that point between A&W and the Canadian Cattlemen's Association, where they were going to, as soon as they ran through all the advertising material that they had on that in French for Viande Végétale, they weren't going to continue it.
Do you have any sense of what a threat you think these products are to beef producers?
Well, the threat is the integrity of the product that we produce, which is pure meat.
Why do you feel the integrity is threatened if people are marketing vegetable burgers?
There's nothing wrong with marketing a vegetable burger, but it's not a plant-based meat. That's where it stands. If we go back a few years back, even on the dairy side of things, all of a sudden what we have known today as soy beverage or almond beverage, at one point when it first came out, it was called soy milk or almond milk, but at some point the name got replaced for what it was. So it's for a precise definition of what a product is and what a product isn't.
And so you think that if people are buying products, if they're seeing it on the supermarket shelf, that they will think that they're buying meat, and that's the integrity you're concerned with?
At the end of the day, it's a case of upholding the rules to make it a fair, level playing field for all of us that are involved. It can easily create confusion, maybe not for all, but for some it definitely can.
Isn't the bigger problem for cattle producers is that there are so many people, just millions of people in Canada, around the world, who are giving up on meat or reducing the meat they eat because simply that's a dietary choice they're making. And it's not that they're confused about what they're buying. They're quite sure of what they're buying, and they want to eat less meat.
And we respect that. We respect everybody's individual choice, but we want our product to be clear of what it is. There is nutritional differences, nutritional confusion that can lead up from that, and that's probably not something that we hear a lot of talk about, but the nutritional factors are quite different.
This company, Beyond Meat, it's now valued at, it's an American company, is valued at $1.5 billion, and its first day of trading, its shares tripled in value. It's selling to 30,000 grocery stores, restaurants, schools in 5 countries. That's the trend, isn't it? I mean, is that the bigger threat that the cattle producers are facing?
Well, I mean, the world market of protein consumption is a constant shift, but we don't feel it as a threat. And there could be a social tendency that might be starting up now that's going possibly more on vegetable-based proteins in this part of the world, while other parts of the world are doing a shift the opposite way, example, China. But we don't see it as a threat. It's just two different products. I mean, again, it's upholding the rules that we have here in Canada.
You don't see vegetarian trends and vegan trends to be any threat to your industry?
No, we don't.
Really? Millions of people turning to eat less meat or no meat at all is not a threat to meat producers?
I don't. We don't have any indication that there's millions and millions of people going that way. And again, like I said, when you do comparisons, China is going the other way, where meat is being introduced into their diet. Numbers can go in a whole lot of directions when it comes to that, but we do not feel it as a threat.
Have you ever had a veggie burger?
I did.
What did you think?
On a personal level, I cooked beef burgers at the same time, and all I ate was the straight patties. And I had my employee that day that was with me, and we tried it. And it wasn't the same eating experience one to the other. I encourage everybody that questions it, try it, but try it in a fair way. Don't put it into a bun. Don't dress it up with sauce. Just try pure patty to pure patty and see for themselves.
What, did you like it?
Myself, I didn't like it. The texture wasn't the same, nor the flavor wasn't the same.
I didn't think it was the same, but did you like it even if it wasn't the same?
No, honestly, I didn't. Honestly, I didn't.
All right, we'll leave it there. Mr. Jackson, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Kirk Jackson is the Vice President of the Quebec Cattle Producers Federation. We reached him in St. Anisette, Quebec.